Welcome to The Grant, the EU funding podcast. It's time to have a talk about proposal writing during the summer. It's a rough task that is made much more complicated by different holiday calendars, disrupted workflows, and general ignorance vis-à-vis the complex challenges that the proposal writers face. And the consequences are more than just a lost trip to the beach. Anxiety, heavy stress, and eventual burnouts are the reality for many individuals after submission. I have invited NGO-representative Ivana Todorovic and independent grant consultant Georg Melzer-Venturi into the virtual podcast studio for a panel discussion about this important subject. Please enjoy. Welcome to this special summer special episode of The Grant. As some of you dear listeners might have followed on my marketing and promos on LinkedIn, I've been calling for panelists for an episode on how it is to write proposals during the summer. Managed to rattle the cage a little bit, got some angry messages there about a simplified message about that it's not just about having a nice summer and to diminishing the whole grants writing sector to people who are sorry they cannot go to the beach and so on. That's not the point. And it's very important here in the introduction to say that this, especially this element of writing proposals in the summer, is something that I have done myself. And I've done it several times over the summer. I have seen colleagues doing it throughout the summer, and I've seen people get near burnouts. I myself, the first 6 months of my daughter's life, I practically didn't see her over that summer because I have to sit and write a proposal that I forgot all about and didn't win. I have felt the pain myself, and I've seen the pain on others to do this. Because over the summer, it's just a very painful period to write these things over. Because it's not the same. You don't have the same resources. You don't have the same capacities as when you sit and write throughout autumn, winter, and so on. And this my heart burns for this a lot. We need to talk about this because there are many people who struggle with this throughout the summer. So this is why I invited a couple of people on board the grant. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before I introduce or let the two panelists introduce themselves, as some of you might have noticed, is that the episodes that I record that you are listening to now, that I'm releasing, they are pre-recorded. So they have been recorded throughout winter and spring 22. But this one is a real life action, so to say. It's as close to in real time as possible. I will release this now, so when this would have been a week old, this panel. So that's just it's fresh. It's very fresh, this episode. No, that was a long fly-in. Georg, Ivana, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Niels.
First of all, and I always tell this to my people that I have on board. People take it out of their spare time, and so I appreciate so immensely everybody that appreciates this initiative enough to do this also in their spare time. I know many people has it for their work, but still, it's not. I come to people, and everybody who says yes, that's how nice. It just makes me happy. So first of all, it's very important for me to thank you for that. Yeah, it's probably going to be a long talk. We will run people through the bullets we have to go through today. But maybe before we do that, and always women first, Georg. So I will have to ask Ivana, can you introduce yourself shortly? Where you live, what you do, and your experience with EU funding proposals?
Yeah, thank you a lot. Thank you a lot for inviting me for this conversation because it means a lot to me also to talk about this topic specifically. So I'm coming from Belgrade, Serbia. I'm a partner at Institute for Development and Innovation. I started to work on proposals like Horizon 2020 at that moment a few years ago, and I went through a pretty tough summers in the past, trying to help and to support and to facilitate proposal writing. But let me just get back to what exactly I am basically working on and what is Institute about. We are usually developing SSH and gender analysis for Horizon projects. We are basically focused on two topics. One is sustainability and the other one is tech and IT. So we are mostly there to prepare a work package or a task to support writing and to help the proposal be very well structured. However, we are usually the first ones that are providing all the information to the proposal writers and to coordinator. So that's our story from the part where we are coordinating or writing a proposal. And right now we have two Horizon projects that we are working on and that we are very proud of. One is called APET and one is Realities that is starting in October. So if you have any more questions, just ask me. Thanks.
Just shortly on thanks. It's an NGO you work for, no?
Yeah, it's NGO, yes.
Okay. And how's it funded?
It's funded by grants. It's funded from EU grants or state grants, depends.
So that's the business.
Yeah, that's the whole business model.
Okay. Yeah. Georg?
Yeah, hi, Georg Melzer-Venturi. I have my own consulting company, Utima Research Services, and my story is a little bit longer.
Hit us.
22 years ago, I started out at the Austrian NCP. I have a biotech background, but somehow ended up in the ICT department. And after working on two projects there, I sort of realized, the NCP is a really important institution in being, the first port of call, the general inquiry, a neutral entity that's in there. But I had the feeling, and this was also, from requests from people who are writing grants, that they needed more support than the NCP could give. And 20 years ago, there were a couple big guys out there, but the landscape wasn't as professional as it is now. And after leaving the NCP, I said, well, I think I'm in a pretty good position. I've seen a lot of proposals. I've seen a lot of feedbacks. I evaluate myself for the commission, obviously. And so I was like, I think I can fill that gap. And so for the last 20 years, that's what I've been doing. Yeah. And at first it was just, grant writing and getting the grant done. And that was it. And then, there's more and more requests. Well, we're having problems in the administration of the grant. There's issues coming up, and then it was always difficult, because it could only be as a subcontract and da. So then I started joining the project as a project partner. Yeah, and that's where then obviously it becomes also a lot more interesting and fun and more immersive into new technologies. I mean, I was building robots so old people can stay at home longer. I was looking at can insects be a realistic source of feed for animals? Border control topics, medical topics, where you're looking at transplant technologies. So really anything that's in any way in the spectrum of the Horizon project or the framework program, I was doing and am doing. Yeah, I'm currently involved in two projects. I have two projects starting in September and in October. So it's been really busy, but I really enjoy it because it's for a couple of years you dip into a universe of new tech and it's I'm a tech geek. I love technology, and this is probably the best way to get exposed to a different technology every year.
Yeah. We'll get back to that, because we have similar experiences, you and me, Georg, because I also been an NTP, and I've been working as a private consultant, not as an individual, independent, but I know what you're talking about when it comes to be or be not part of a consortium. So yeah, but what I wanted to be, just before we start attacking the problem of today, summer proposals. Is your experience sitting over the summer?
Yes, obviously. I mean, the security proposals always had end of August deadlines. Everybody loved it.
Fantastic. Yeah. So how many times have you done that over the summer?
Every year, the last 15 years.
Yeah.
I've reduced it a lot now, and I don't, I had a running security project, so I didn't write any new ones. And the end of August, I was just saying I don't do end of August anymore. Beginning anything that's a deadline, before late September, I don't want to do anymore. Is the
yeah, and that. Yeah, we'll get back to it when we start to crack down the issue. But yeah, you've been around the block a couple of times, so you know how to secure yourself. So you have the income you need for yourself, so you can say no to these kind of leads.
Yeah, I get enough requests. That's unfortunate on that side.
Yeah. Thanks both of you. So let's just attack. I thought it would be longer with the introduction, but it's okay. We do not necessarily need to have a long intro, because of course it's most interesting for the listeners to hit the problem. But it's always good to know where people come from and their own experience. Okay, so listeners out there, we have this episode. I have chosen to call the summer struggle. And that's because it's rough, as I made in the long intro. So I have chosen to divide this episode into some blocks that we will start to dig into now. So first we will look at the source of the problem. Get back to that in a second. Then we will look at the work itself that you have to do when you write proposals over the summer. Then the consequences we will have to talk about, and then the things that really don't help, that just pushes on the consequences, and then solutions. Of course, we will try to be constructive here to help you all how to deal with this and how to get better out of it, so you're alive when you hit the submit button in end August or beginning September. And then I always have the segment, the toughest challenge, as part of all episodes. But that's everything is tough. So, but we will touch upon it in the end. So that's that. So, first block, the source of the problem, the Commission. Yeah? Georg, when we had a talk about this, when I reached out and we had a talk on the phone, we discussed it shortly, because both you and me we've been doing this for quite some years, and we talked about addressing it to the Commission about what's going on here. So maybe I should just paint the frame. So both for newcomers and for experienced, the European Commission, for the framework programs, they have sort of a call circles, call deadline circle. So you would have, if you take a year, if you start from January, you would have calls in January/February. You would have calls in March, April. Then you would have calls in August, September, sometimes moving into October. And then, but that's pretty much it. Then sometimes you have in late November, start December. Yeah, sort of the call cycle, and that's of course from the Commission side as a funding scheme provider. They need to put it in batches, so you would have the framework program is very many calls, so they try to batch them up so they don't spread out like this. They also need to handle it as funding scheme administrator when the calls come in, when the proposals come in. So that's that. They of course need to organize that. However, the real source of the summer struggle is the fact that the Commission always chooses to have deadlines end August, start September, mid-September, end September-ish. So on the other side, right on the other side of the summer holiday for Southern Europe. And many people have wondered over the years about this. And Georg, you mentioned to me that you talked to a Commission representative about this. Is that correct?
It was a very informal discussion with a couple of people, and it's I think it's a workload issue. Obviously, I mean, when is the heaviest workload on the side of the administration if they have a call? It's not pre-call. Pre-call, they have to answer a couple questions online, that then go on the official's FAQ. Yeah. The workload for the Commission starts at 17:01 on the day of the deadline, where they say how many people are really, how many proposals got submitted, how many are eligible, how many evaluators do I need, and when are the evaluators available, and that whole workload starts after the proposal. Yeah. Now, I may be paranoid here, but the assumption the assumption would be that if the deadline was end of June, mm-hmm. then the staff at the Commission have to work July and August.
Yeah.
Now, my experience when trying to contact people at the Commission in August has been not very fruitful.
No.
Yeah. And since the Commission is not very staffed in August, it's easier for them to have the deadline late August, early September.
Yeah. And that is exactly it. So it should be. So the first point that I have to say about the Commission and the deadlines and people being critical about it, I think many people are afraid of saying it. I think many organizations, they don't want to rattle the cage, so the Commission get there's some sort of idea that if you say something, then you're not going to get funded, or you're getting in bad standing with the Commission. But actually, I think for everybody that thinks like this, you should put that away, because the Commission actually itself asks for feedback on what we are all critical about in relation to the framework programs. They run long processes of feedback on how the FP7, FP6, Horizon 2020, how these programs, how people found that things are working, and they are changing things accordingly. They've really done a big work on this. So we should not be afraid of addressing this specific issue on call deadline circle. For this, it's important to say that this is also why I'm doing this. Well, first of all, I'm not writing proposals, so I don't have to worry about this. But for everybody who's you guys on board here and everybody else, address it and put it on the line, because it's obvious what you have just said, Georg. That is the issue. They do not want a big workload coming in before the summer holiday. Full stop. It's that simple. They do not want for themselves to have that coming in, and they have the serving right. They are the ones that give the money away, so they decide. This is very simple but rough. They decide. They give the money. They decide how their working year is structured. So they don't want to get thousands and thousands and thousands of proposals in that needs to be processed in the summer. Full stop. It's like this. But it's my opinion is that they could maybe adjust these things a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's there's two things that I would add here. One thing is, it doesn't seem like it always, but the European Commission is a service for the European population.
Yes.
For the European citizen. It's a service organization. Yeah. I know very few governmental agencies see themselves as a service-oriented entity, but things are slowly changing. So, I mean, I think it's actually not in our interest not to give feedback. I think it's really important to do so because at the end of the day, any organization who says, well, nobody's complaining, I must be right.
Yeah, exactly.
And to a certain degree, you can say, well, of course, if nobody's complaining, then why change? Yeah. So I think it's really important that there is constructive feedback on this issue, saying we need to organize our thoughts here and figure this out. Yeah. And so that would be from a, what's the power balance aspect, and the other thing is, how many people are working on the calls on the Commission side, and how many people are working on the call on the proposer side?
Exactly.
And I dare say that's somewhere between 10 to 1 and 100 to 1 on the proposer side.
Yeah.
And that's where democracy again would kick in. And I would say, look, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, you can. Yes, minorities have a right. Yes, minorities shouldn't be rolled over. But at the end of the day, in a democratic system, majorities make the rules.
That's a third aspect, and it's actually kicking the Commission over its own shin bone, because the European Commission is very worried about public health. It's very worried about mental sanity, so to say, mental health, public health, work-life balance, family life, all these cocktail speech, right, about the wealth being of us all, and so on. And then they choose in the research department of that of the business, they choose to put deadlines that cannot nothing but at all destroy, disrupt fundamental summer holidays and Christmas holidays for thousands and thousands of people. It's correct what I'm saying, right?
Yep.
There is a fundamental paradox of what they want with these things, of political goals of the Commission and who we are, and then what you cannot put a deadline on the 3rd of January. I saw that last year. They had their deadline on 3rd of January. How on earth is there a person sitting and deciding that date? I don't know what they have in there. This makes me so angry. How can you put a Horizon Europe tough call structure, strategic research call on the 3rd of January, when you know that so many people will sit and be super stressed to the because it is tough to put resource intensive to put proposals together. That's the work. But dare you put it on the 3rd of January? How do they dare? I get so angry. It's I don't know what they have in their heads. Put it at least the 15th of January or the 23rd of January. So you have 3 weeks. It's
Yeah, but the question is, how many people that are right now making these decisions, are they really making decisions, or they're going as it was in the past? I'm thinking if they are really thinking about this when they are setting up any kind of deadlines, and how many people that are right now making these deadlines were preparing proposals during the summer or Christmas holidays and are trying to change something inside. So I think that, given the number of calls that Horizon Europe has, one definitely should be about how European Commission is defining the calls, including how it is defining deadlines. Some kind of communication is very much very much needed if the European Commission wants to set itself as a very inclusive institution that really thinks about work-life balance. Because if we are analyzing, like we in Institute, we are doing SSH and gender studies and minorities and everything. So if that is one of the important part of almost all calls, why shouldn't we use that kind of the analysis and try to analyze the processes that we are right now all involved from one side or on the other side?
Yeah. It's there are many paradoxes here. What I would actually to really talk about this in a proper way, you would need a representative or somebody who knows when things are decided, who decides them. Because if you know a little bit about the framework programs and the drafts that come out, the last thing that they put, that's the deadlines. You get all details about, even call numbers, everything in there. But the last thing, the second last draft and the last draft, one of the only things that are missing in the second last, that's the deadline. Yeah. Sometimes you rarely get where they are there, but that's the last thing they get. So there is of course a place in each DG responsible for the places where they're responsible. The program, I don't think the program committees are doing it, because I've been a program committee member myself, and I do not remember us discussing deadlines. That's something that the commission does internally in the very end. And I have reached out to commission people of my contacts, and one of them said, being part of a podcast, not for this specific, that's in general, to join me for once in a while. And he declined, regrettably. He would like, but he knows that it's difficult to get on board stuff like this from commission representative, because he has to fill in all kinds of forms and so on joining a podcast. But another guy that I've been knowing for many years, he said, but contact me after summer. So I will try to see if I can somehow squeeze him for an episode about, because I'd like to know, I'd like to understand what's going on, and I like to understand from the commission's point of view, if there's if they actually have a a reasonable explanation for this, yeah,
any kind of discussion.
Or if it's something that is being discussed internally in commission, if they are actually discussing, we cannot do this. Yes, we can. You know, if there is a reflected discussion on when they put these deadlines, it would be nice to understand.
I mean, I think that one of the reasons why the deadlines come so late is that, there's a minimum opening time of a call of whatever it is, 3 months. And obviously they want to have the deadline as early as possible. So until it's relatively final and they're sure that there's no more complaints, it's very difficult to estimate what time is the earliest publication date, which then also gives you the earliest deadline date. So I think that's just simply the way the program is structured. I mean, obviously what's interesting is that, they seem to be hitting the same time slot again and again.
Maybe, I don't know if you remember, I remember, was it last summer, last spring, when the new Horizon Europe was coming out. So they got under pressure themselves in the commission, because you could see that they wanted the deadlines as they normally have them in the summer, but because of the shift from 2020 to Europe framework program, they didn't finalize the decision process enough, so the work program didn't come out in time soon enough to be justifiable. It came so late that you could not say, okay, then you have a deadline in a month. So they had to. There was a rumble last summer where they had to move deadlines. The first deadlines were moved 2 to 3 weeks or something like this, probably too much anger in the commission itself. But yeah.
I mean, I submitted on those calls, and they were supposed to be, I think, early September, late September, early October. And all of them were moved by 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah,
everybody liked it.
I liked it,
but that's a different discussion about when they move deadlines. That in a late stage when you're already finished, and let's not go into that because that's that's a total different discussion. All right, so I'm just gonna put a note that I will try to get a commission representative. All right. Let's move on. That was the source of the problem.
I mean, I think one more thing that we also have to consider is, what happens after the submission. So there's the official eligibility check, then the evaluation start, then the consensus meeting, and I think it gets tricky once you have deadlines that are in late October, November-ish. Because then the consensus meetings basically fall into Christmas, and anything that you can't
for evaluators.
No, but the consensus meeting is by the expert evaluators.
But everybody needs a Christmas holiday. Nobody can object to that. So it's all a matter of how they plan the year in the commission, how you move things around, because you have the same working days throughout the year. It's.
I mean, obviously Christmas is a lot easier because at the end of the day, that's 2 weeks. It's around the 24th to around the 7th is when everyone is on vacation. So those are pretty much, that's 15 days. But July, August is a whole different ballgame. I mean, that's 4 times as long. And to say everything's shutting down in July and August, I'm not sure that's a very realistic scenario.
We will talk about it as we move on here because we are digging into some of these different issues. Then, so we will move on to the next block, where it's much more qualified what we can say about this because that's what we've all been doing here in this 3-person panel. The work itself. And the work itself, naturally, so writing proposals, that's an art that takes years to learn, and it has some characteristics to do. There's a lot of different layers of work that you need to go through and phases and so on, which I'm covering in the timeline series. That every proposal writer knows, especially if you've done it a couple of times. But what it does over the summer is that those processes and steps are being disrupted, and how? Because your timeline is basically screwed up by north-south holiday and the partners from different parts, they go and come and so on. So it's very difficult. So I've tried to dot down a couple of things that what is actually making the summer proposals challenging. And it's based on pre-talks that I had with the two of you combined with my own experience. So the first bullet that I put, the lack of resources in your own team and the partners' resources. And here I qualified it a little bit that especially if you're not experienced proposal writer, you constantly run into proposal elements that you would normally be able to work through with the back and forth from the partners and so on, and with the resources and capacities that helps you with the things that you don't know so much about. That is constantly being blocked or narrowed on how to do things. So and sometimes you even simply struggle to understand some parts and you cannot ask anybody. And maybe in relation to resources and own team, I will start with you, Georg. You work for yourself, so the team part you can take out. But the lack of resources from other partners when you write, when you write your processes, do you rely a lot on content core partners in your proposal development? Or?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, technology-wise, I am always completely out of my comfort zone. And at the end of the day, a research project where you don't understand the technology, you can't really write. So I'm always very strongly dependent on a couple key partners who basically are pushing or pulling, whatever you want to say. And then there's others where, if there's not so much feedback, it's, we can find workarounds. But I have this theory is a big word. I spend a lot of effort and time when I'm preparing proposals on making sure that everybody on the team has the same picture. It's basically like, if I have a blank puzzle, and I give everybody their piece and then start describing, make a landscape with a unicorn in the middle, and you know where your piece is, there's only 5, 6 pieces or 10 pieces, and draw what you think belongs into your field, and then you put it together, it's just not going to work. Yeah. But if you were to take that puzzle and then together with everybody else, draw a couple lines with a pencil and then hand it out, then everybody can draw their piece and it'll fit together. So there's a lot of effort in continuously, going over again. So what exactly do you mean when you say it's an autonomous robot? What exactly do you mean with this? How do you imagine that this interface works with that? How is that exchange really going to happen? And for that process to work, I need access to people constantly. Because you start writing something, you start sketching something, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, it won't fit into the box that we think it's going to fit in. I need to call the box designer, and I need him on the phone now. And if he's sailing in the Caribbean, it's just not going to happen.
How do you handle that?
Panic, usually. No.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, that's a nice
plastic
thing.
Bag to breathe in.
I breathe into a brown paper bag until I faint, and then when I wake up, all's good. No, the main issue is just making sure that you have a lot of the people there, and that you start early enough. That's always this. Just start early enough. It doesn't work. I mean, a lot of people, end of June, all of a sudden realize, hey, there's a call topic that's really cool. Mm-hmm. And then you need, the Finnish border guard on board. Finland takes their vacation in July. Thank you. They'll be back in 3 weeks. They're in their red cabin in the sauna, unavailable. So at the end of the day, you just need to find workarounds and try to ask as many other people who might know what's going on. But it's terrible. I mean, usually what I try to do is with the core team, as soon as it's clear that we're going for a certain topic, to have a physical meeting, really 2 days where we physically sit together and just go from lots of crazy ideas to a relatively precise picture of what we want to do. And I also wrote a lot of proposals during Corona when it was all virtual. And I have to say, virtual is not a real alternative. You can't beat physical meetings. Half the team in a physical room is better than the entire team on a video call.
I managed, but and I actually was fine with it, but there's something with the physical part. We will dig a little bit. But Ivana,
yes,
lack of resources in own team of partners. I know that this is something that you put the bullet, or you flagged the bullet when we talk. So share with us your experience on this.
So usually, I can tell you a few stories, and then everything will be pretty clear. So internally, we are pretty agile, which means that usually, even if it is summer, institute is willing to support, in a sense where if not this type, this specific researcher can do it, we are going to find someone who is going to support it and to help us to understand what is needed. And when it comes to, for example, talking to proposal writers, and when we need to prepare a work package, for example, or a methodology or anything that is related to our specific part, we are usually the first that are submitting, sending. Well, they set some deadline, and we always feel like we need to meet the deadline and probably to provide information earlier. So what we are finding as a problem is that I'm putting a pretty big pressure on my team to get everything that is needed, and then we provide it. After that, we realized that, first of all, half of the partners didn't provide what is needed. Usually, the most important partners, those that are framing the proposal, are not providing inputs. And let's say after 2, 3, 4 weeks, after they get back from vacation, they understand that maybe they want to do just a small tweak or to change a task. So, but we were counting on that task and on that vision. So we need to rewrite and to totally change our part in order to meet what is needed. So that is problematic in one or in any time. But during the summer, it is pretty hard because people are usually on vacations and you cannot even get a feedback what is good, what is not good. So this is from a part where we are just providing information and trying to meet internal deadlines that we really feel that are important. However, not many partners understand. So that's one part. And the second part is when you are in the position, as I'm usually, to facilitate and to gather all information and all inputs. So even if partners tell you that they are not on a vacation, they won't really respond to your emails promptly, you will wait for a few days. Somehow it seems that they don't understand that we really need it at that moment because it is summer. So let's wait when everyone are back to have a new meeting, etc. So that is definitely making me a lot of problem. Sometimes I panic, but usually I panic like at the deadline or day before deadline. What happens is that I ask everyone for a phone number, and I literally start to spam people and to call and to send messages on WhatsApp to get information, at least when and what we are going to get, because sometimes we are left to swim or sink alone.
It frames it quite well, both input, and it totally aligns with the what I have experienced. There are many different layers here, and because the episode would be very, very long if you have to dig into them all, but they are just, it's the content. It's if for instance, exactly like you mentioned, if a core partner wants to change a direction or a specific work package profile into something different that is quite vital for work package before or after, where they overlap, and you cannot get in touch with the people that needs to have an opinion about that. So how do you deal with that when you work on the proposal? It's almost an impossible task, because you have to eventually there are some things where you have to wait till people are back, and then if you have the north-south issue, which we will come to in a second, that the north has holiday in the beginning of summer and the south has in the late part of the summer. If the partners that you need to talk to, they shift. So the ones that wanted to change, and then you can finally check with people that are back, but then you cannot set up a meeting with the ones who suggested it in the first place, because they are away. So you cannot, the whole calibration about aligning as it is in a normal project development process, that you go and see, this doesn't work, so you have to go back to point, you start from A, B, C, then at point C you understand, you have to go back to point B and change some things so you can move on from C to D and so on. That process, you cannot do that properly throughout the summer because exactly of this. There's a partner value chain, there's a group of people that are not there on a shifting time. It's horrible. This is sort of moving into the second bullet that I put. Feedback is scarce, but that's actually what this is, what we just talked about, right? So it's you, the feedback you need. That's what we just talked about. The feedback you need is not there, but also from the people that are not on holiday. It's like I don't know if you experience the same thing, that even the ones that are actually working, there seems to be a different flow. Is it just me, or I don't know?
I experience that, like, everything is slower, and I don't know, like, that's just my feeling, but sometimes I feel that people really don't think that is a priority to do during the summer, even though they are working. So it depends, obviously, on a person and an institution, like their strategy and how important it is to submit a proposal. But sometimes, like people that are supporting the writing and need to provide inputs are not really that much into it. And when it is summer on top of it, they are even less active and willing to discuss. For example, to schedule a meeting. Usually we feel like that most of the people want to get meetings at the end of the summer, which is 1 to 3 weeks before we need to submit. And then on that meeting, we are going to discuss literally everything. So, and to change elements that are already written. That is not the way how the proposal should be written. However, I saw it many times, and it's not like in one specific group, but different consortiums, different partners, different writers are facing the similar situation.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, because you have two different partner categories. You have the ones that are totally not aware of the alarmists, so to say. They're not aware of the process, the whole process of preparing a proposal, and say, it's summer. The deadline is in September. It's fine. It's okay. And then you have, because we have to give it, you also have partners that are aware of this issue. And it's good if you have a good handful, and especially if the lead partner is aware of and has a certain authority, so to say, that if it's an important organization within the field, so to say, that has an authority towards the group, that helps. That actually has helped me a couple of times. That you have the good partners on board that understand exactly how challenging it is to do this over the summer. That can sort of balance it to make it less panicky. But yeah, it's this feeling of it's trashes. Huh? It's trashes. For the it's September. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I actually want to throw in a third aspect, maybe. Sometimes universities are actually easier in summer because they don't have to deal with those annoying students.
Yeah.
But now, depending when the term starts, sometimes they have their first exams in September already, or they're preparing curricula, which when the university starts in October, whatever it is. So then they'll drop out during the hottest phase. So they're there in August, they're super responsive, then September rolls around, it's like, I have a meeting with the dean, I have a meeting with them, I have to do this, I have to, and
teach. They teach. They have that.
Yeah, but in Austria, the teaching starts in October, as far as I remember. It's been a while. But I think we had September off.
September. It's not most I've been working with. They start in September.
Yeah.
It's our poor university people. I guess sometimes I think they are so squeezed with so many different things. People in the private world think, the civil servants. Yeah. the pressure that they have there for resources and pushes from all sides. That's also why I wanted a university representative here, but I couldn't get one. Just to get that feeling, because I know that being a proposal writer from a university, that you at the same time you're a professor of kind of further down the system, academic system, and you at the same time you have to teach students, PhD students, you have to go to do classes, you have to correct assignments, stuff like shit, go shoot yourself.
And, I mean, and a lot of them are doing this, to ensure that they still have a job next year.
Yeah.
Because they're dependent
because it's
on
the
that
resource
grant.
issue. So to be able to continue the research they do, or just to keep their seat, yes, then they are forced. And so they don't have. Then they sit and do it in the evenings.
Yeah.
No, I have a lot of respect for these people. All right, let's have a talk about the North-South holiday issue. Because for the listeners out there who have not done this a lot, or for the person sitting out there listening to this that considering, should I lift the coordinating job, you need to be aware of this. That in Europe we don't have it's not like summertime, wintertime alignment. There's not a summer holiday alignment throughout Europe. So basically North Europe, and I think the line goes with German southern border-ish, Austrian southern border. It's basically the north-south. So the Latin Europe, they all have holidays in August. Literally the full month. And in the north, you would have holidays starting late June throughout July, and then they're back in the end of July-ish. So what you're looking at here is a planning nightmare when you are doing a proposal. And this is not something you can do anything about. This is just something that our listeners has to be aware of if you're not. And then for anyone who has been doing this a lot, it's just consolation saying we all tried it. It's horrible, because it's basically it's actually, we already touched it a little bit. We're talking about the other bullets here under the work. It's I don't know. It's when you start the process. Maybe we share with the listeners what happened the first time we did this, and maybe I start. The first time I did a framework program proposal where I had to sit and do it myself. It's like you, Georg. But it was a little bit, I consider it a little bit, when you're a big company like P&O, I consider it a little bit conservative, not very up to time to work with. But that, when I started there the first time in 2015, it was a business model of each consultant would sit with his or her own proposals, and they would do everything from idea development with the core client to budget and submitting and everything through. And I was sitting, and I was not aware of this summer holiday issue. And it was a technology area that I was extremely uncomfortable with, so I was very reliant on the core partners. It was ICT security in airports and stuff like this. And they were so kind. Oh, they were so kind, the core partners. It was Luxembourg. It was big Lux. It was a university in Luxembourg. Science, Technology and Innovation. Very nice research organization. And then the University of Oulu in Finland. They were there with me in the summer, because Luxembourg has the same holiday line as Finland, so that helped me a lot. But we had Italian partners, we had Spanish partners, Madrid, the city of Madrid, for instance. And it just hit me. When I had to sit and do these complicated things, I would have died if the Luxembourg and Finnish partner were not there together with me. It would have been a horror, and it was a horror already. So at least them, because they had the core knowledge of the technology and so on, we could sort of ride our way out of the demonstration side of Madrid. And the parts of the Italian partners and so on. We could write ourselves a little bit around it, and then we could put in the input from them when they were back. But it's and when you realize it as you go, you have a planning. And I was a green proposal developer. I had been working as an NCP and program committee, but not writing proposals. But sitting there in that hotspot, and then it suddenly dawned on you. But wait a minute, I cannot get that input. What do I do? It's a nightmare. No. Ivana, how was your first proposal?
Yeah, it was fun. First, I remember it was not the first time, but second summer, or the first summer, I forgot. But I remember that we were preparing a proposal for end of August, I think. And I remember that we were on a call during May and then like mid-June. And I felt like everything is perfect. Like everything is in line. We are doing everything great. And after that call, I had a call with my friend who is also who by the way onboarded me to these calls. So to say hello to Sonia. And I had a call with him after that, and he was like, we are going to fail. Like, this is the end. Like, we won't make it. Like, we should stop with this proposal. And I didn't understand why he's saying that, because I was like, we have 2.5 months or 2 months more. And he told me, no. You see, like, we are missing like 3 partners at this stage. We are missing this, and that. We won't get it get it on time, and we can try, but we won't be able to submit, because I think it was like 20th of August or something like that. It was a deadline. And I remember that moment where I literally thought that everything is perfect, and then the next second that we are not going to work anymore on that proposal. So I learned a lot from it. And then we were preparing some other proposal where I was involved a lot with writing and also with facilitating. And yeah, that's the moment when I realized that part of the Europe is going in end of June, start of July on vacations, because I didn't have that in mind. In Serbia, I think that you will have almost everyone here until 15th of July. Mm-hmm. And usually about 1st of August, you won't have people available. But and I also had an experience only from Serbia, where usually people are like up to 2 weeks on holidays during the summer, and you can get them before or after that. Mm-hmm. So that was the problem when I sent an email, and I realized that I'm getting back automatic replies saying we are on a vacation, we'll be back in, let's say, 4 weeks. Yeah. and that was really tough. So we at the end we were able to submit a proposal, but that was very tough to get and to understand.
And Georg, your first time?
To be honest,
you remember it?
I don't remember the first time that happened to me.
But do you remember in your early years as proposal developer where you did proposal where you didn't realize until too late?
Well, I had something worse. Everything. It was a January 10th deadline. I remember that.
Oh, how do they dare? Oh, it makes me angry every time.
January 10th deadline. And on the 20th of December, one of the key partners from a large research center in the Netherlands called me and said, "Yeah, he's really sorry. He was just at the whatever, some meeting, and another department is also on that call, and the other department signed a non-competition clause, and he has to leave the project effective immediately. And by the way, I should send it to him before I submit to make sure, I removed everything that he wrote. And I was like, look, I mean, I can't, you're out. Okay, I get it. I can't give you editing rights and send you stuff when I know that your organization is a competing call, but we will delete everything that you did and take it from there. And then I needed to replace that partner on the 20th of December. And that's when you just call your good friends and say, look, I mean, I know what I'm asking, but I need an email that says that you're in. I need, your standard participant description sheet. I'm going to invent stuff that you can do, and we'll try to get it across the line and then figure it out during contract negotiations. And the only thing, why this is not a nightmare experience is because we got the grant and the other team didn't.
No.
Oh, congratulations.
So that guy left the winning team on the 20th of December and, basically hung us out to dry. And we fixed it.
It's the best feeling.
But that was... it sounds stupid, but it was pre-kids, and pre-kids, you can work through everything. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah, so the 24th I spent with my parents, and the 25th I was in the office. Youpie-doo, it's just another day. Yeah. When it doesn't make that much of a difference. But now, if this happened now, I'd say, okay, guys, show's over. I mean, because I'm going to go on the 23rd, whatever that, whatever weekday it is, I'm off. And I'm not available for a week, at least.
You know what? It's actually podcast episodes material. It's just episodes on putting something back to life constantly. I tried it so many times. You constantly give a case of life to the project. Oh no, heart massage. Just again, oh shit, get the defibrillator, the coordinator jumping like out, coordinator jumps out, partners that don't want to finally commit, and then they jump, and
but you never have to, and there's chaos and destruction everywhere. But there's also, these beams of hope, really, where you call a random guy that I was looking for, it was a radar manufacturer, European defense radar manufacturer. And I literally went onto LinkedIn and Google and then found a guy.
That's what you do.
Called the company, the front desk, and said, I need to talk to Frank. Yeah. And Frank took the call, and I said, I know you've been in projects because I found your PIC number. This is what we want to do, Yeah. And Frank said, what do I have to do? And I was like, I need these 5 documents from you. I need you to read this. I need to give feedback on page 5, 7, and 13.
Yeah.
And you'll get €1 million. And he's like,
yeah, Frank.
Sounds like a deal.
But I hear you, and I've done similar processes, definitely. Because what happens is, and everybody who's been writing proposals more than just once have been through these kind of crazy incidents where you reach out for nothing, and you manage somehow. You kind of the airplane just put gaffer tape like this, and it flies. And sometimes it's even funded. It's and it's like your nerves, the anxiety goes through the roof like this, and you Oh, we're laughing, but it's actually not funny. It's definitely not funny when you're doing it. It feels like your heart is just sitting in your throat.
Yeah. It's great when you get the project across the line, and then you submit it, you get a good report, you may even get funded, then you're happy. But when those projects don't make it, and you have this feeling that it fell apart because of one stupid coincidence, that's when it's painful.
Yeah.
And the whole process is so rigged isn't the right word, but so the success rates, at least on a theoretical level, are pretty low. So anything that throws sand into your gears really takes out a lot of momentum out of something that has to be polished down to so it's these things that are painful, and double painful obviously if it's summer, and because the problem is, okay, so I googled and Facebook and LinkedIn and I found Frank, but Frank is on
Frank, he's kicking it. He's kicking it on the beach.
Yeah. Then it doesn't matter how good your impromptu research reach out is, unless he's somebody from your network where you have a mobile number and you can call and say, look, please call the office and tell him to give me what I need. Because at bigger organizations, there's always a fallback. That is the one thing that you have to give it. If Frank isn't there, then maybe Bob or Janet is, and then they can help you out. And a lot of times, if you get if an organization is interested and the person who's interested is important enough, whatever that means, then they will find somebody in the organization to keep going. There's very few organizations that literally shut down. I know in Italy that's the case around the 15th of August, Ferragosta, factories close down. So it's the only thing that's running seems to be gas stations and hospitals, and there I wouldn't be so sure. Yeah. But in most other organizations, it's not the case that everybody's gone. I'm not sure about the commission.
But it's the problem that you always run into. Even if they have a certain size, the departments that work with that has the decision mandate and that knows of EU projects, EU proposals like this, if they should join or not. It's not a vibrating department of 50 people. It's a small team and they normally go together. So and normally if it's companies, it would be the head of R&D or.
Yeah, but if
they focus on many other things. The head
of R&D on to reply to one email or to read one of the emails, and he or she thinks it's interesting and interesting enough, then they will find somebody back in the office to at least get the basics started.
Yeah. Oh, there was a long way around the North-South Holidation. We took some detours, but I think it's very important what we do here to give people, paint the picture of what it feels like, and also we have small anecdotes also are good to paint the picture. Now my last bullet that I put in this blog about the work itself, it's the content part. But it has been impossible to talk about what we've been through without talking content. So the actual what you put into the proposal. But what I put here in the rundown is that the proposal process, if you start in June, then you're in troubles. It's you need to, and I guess that's also if we need to talk about a little bit about solutions. We have a blog called Solutions a little later, but it's obvious that there's a lot of planning in this. But indeed, if you start in June, which was what happened, the first one that I just described, I started my work the 1st of June. And you can imagine the rest there. It's before you start at work, you get into it a couple of weeks, and then suddenly there's a proposal on your table from my manager, and then it's mid-June, end June. So that's an issue. Then you have then if you look at the sections that you, and I touched a little bit upon, we all touch a little bit upon it, but there's simply some sections that you won't be able to write or gather before September. And that's related to the ketchup effect that I put on the last under bullet here. Since you have people away in July and you have people away in August, so when they come back, everybody's back, then suddenly everything has to be on the same time. Suddenly you have meetings, your Outlook calendar is like, it looks like a Tetris game, it's and they even overlap.
Tetris.
It's and my wife almost got a heart attack when she saw one of my calendars through one of these processes. What is that, your calendar? That's what it looks like, my dear. It's because everything then everybody's so now we're back, so now we can you wanted us, you wanted to have a talk about this, but I wanted to talk about 1,000 things that we need to talk about.
But it's even better when they come back and say, okay, I have feedback on task 7.2, 8.3. We're not going to do this task. We want this task. We're out if we don't get to do this. And by the way, double my budget, please.
This is minimum what we can do with the budget. Otherwise, you can wait goodbye.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with that.
But I think that it goes back to something you said at the beginning. The key part to a good proposal is a really strong lead who's willing to say, look, this is just not going to work this time. And if you're out, you're out. That's your choice. We'll replace you. Yeah. Or you have a very small role, whatever it is,
Or we decide what you do if you don't.
Yeah.
Give input. Stuff like this, where you say, okay, well.
And and then, obviously, it's an agglomeration of skill sets that make a good proposal. But a good lead understands at least the basics of everything what's going in, and even if you can't get feedback from a certain team, then you can at least especially if it's a larger research organization, then they can ask somebody in one of their organizations, like, hey, does this make sense if we write this? Do you think that's something that's possible with the tech that's around? Because at the end of the day, none of these projects are standalone. I mean, there's a reason why some companies have, a gold club card and have 800 running proposals in Horizon 2020. And they know their partners, they know the abilities and the skill sets that are coming in. They know what they did last time. They can pretty much guesstimate what we can expect coming out of it. And I think, there's the stupid sentence, there's no substitute for experience.
Yeah.
There's no shortcuts. It's you have to fall on your face. And if you don't, then you will just fall on your face harder later.
Hard scratches on your nose and your forehead.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to say something about how. So this, if you have the coordinator, or lead partner, or the core group where you have people that has done this, that are experienced proposal partners or coordinators, it's just making everything so much more easy. That you have they know exactly what you're going through. They know exactly what the work means to do. Also putting pressure on you, because if you're a private consultant, it's a client, but also if it's like this being coordinating the proposal process. But at least they have your back. That they understand what exactly, as you just said, you're pushing the other partners, pushing the lazy ones, say, now it's crunching time. And if you don't step up, then sorry, then you're having a budget of 500,000 euros, and you don't even want to lift your fingers to write us a decent work package description on a page. How much worth are those 500,000 euros? This kind of pushing, squeezing a little bit. So come on, guys, it's now. It's such a huge importance. But Ivana, the proposals you have been writing, can you recognize the same thing, strong versus weak coordinating or lead partners to help the process of the work itself?
Yes. But before that, one important deadline that we didn't mention, and I think it is very important, and it's related to everything, is the moment when European Commission made a special group of calls for COVID. And and they put
a
us
special call.
I don't know how to call them. I remember
they were
they were just announced because the European Commission wanted to be agile, and they really appreciate that. But they are agile on their side more than on our side. But deadline was 3 weeks. So I was there. I was writing that proposal. We didn't get it, but we lost it for like 0.5%. We had pretty good marks. I didn't even know that we are going to get a really that good. But that was the moment when I realized that experience is very important, and that you need to know how to plan the process, and how important it is to have someone who is really going to say no or to say yes. What happened at that moment was that everyone wanted to double their budget, to inflate their budget. And everything was pretty much a mess. We at the end fixed it, and it was very good. But yes, I can really relate a lot with having a good and a proposal writer. It doesn't need to be a coordinator. Sometimes coordinator is a proposal writer, which is great. But it doesn't have to be. So I really have a lot of experience with different type of writers, and I really appreciate much more those who come to me, for example, and tell me, okay, we need this type of the analysis. These are our partners, or do you want to become part of us? And that are having a meeting before they even take us into the consortium. So not because I know that then that is the same process for everyone, where they have some kind of the interview, and they have a pretty in-depth check and understanding that they can use your knowledge, and they can that you are going to provide everything that is needed. So when I see that kind of the onboarding, I'm pretty sure that those people know how to write and to coordinate writing part. When I see that 3 days before the deadline 1/3 of partners are onboarded, then that is pretty much a big problem. Usually because I'm a person who is facilitating the CDA and Part A, so I'm the one who has to fill all the forms and to make sure that we are going to make a good budget and a good Part A, so we can pass that part.
That's a story in itself.
Yeah.
All this, when you run through a horrible summer process, and then when you actually are through to the goal line, then people start to do these kind of things. It's there's a lot of ignorance out there on behalf of what it actually is to do. If everybody should be forced to do it themselves, try. Minimum, these partners that are not really understanding what it is like, they should try just once. Give them the chance to deal with this kind of bullshit themselves. I think in the frame of this episode context, I think we covered it quite well, because we can talk forever about these things, but then we move a little bit away from what we're going to talk about now. So now we're going to have a talk about the consequences, and what this is the whole motivation for the episode. You probably seen my banner to to follow. So when I reached out with the one with just because we've all been there, the one just lies with the head in front of the computer, and thinking about the one on the beach on the bike. This is not just about being on the beach.
This became a long talk that I had with Ivana and Georg, so I'm here fading out and dividing the episode into 2 parts. The second part you will have immediate access to. This is just to make it a little more accessible because it's more than 2 hours that we talk together. You can jump directly to part 2. Thanks for listening. I have created a website for this initiative. Check it out at thegrand.eu. Go and subscribe to this podcast and browse around to check out how the initiative is unfolding. When you subscribe, you will get access to the Grand LinkedIn group, which is where the interaction is going on between you, dear listeners, and me. Thanks for listening to the end, and looking so very much forward to build this up for you. Get the Grand! The Grand. You have been listening to The Grand, the EU funding podcast.